Okay, so now we're ready to move on. I got a playlist of all the things we've been doing up until this point. And we have the port nacelle, and this is all set and all finished. Let's put that aside. And we have the starboard side nacelle. That's all finished. And if you guys are curious and to see the build, I have a playlist of my special 3,000 subscriber build. And everything that I've done up until this point, you can check out if you want. All right, so that's all set. So now we're actually going to move on. And let me get my lighting plan. We're going to move on to the primary hull now. Now we did get some pieces for it. And we have made modifications. So you guys can see we made modifications because we got the bridge and B and C decks that we got. And I just love it, by the way, the smoothness of the 79 release. And we're going to do the impulse decks, so we had to put that, cut this section out as well. So when it comes to the secondary, the bottom part of the primary hull, we have the sensor dome that we got, the extra piece, and there's going to be a big difference in size, and I'll show you that in a second. And they have these, the way it's made is they have these openings. And in the original kit, what you do is, this was to be lit. So you can see the little plastic pegs that they have. You would actually rest the LEDs or glue them in these positions so they would illuminate the windows. But we're going to light the windows, and we're doing a lot more lighting than that. I'm going to make her look like she did when she was on screen. So when it comes to the parts, actually I need the instruction sheet for this. Okay, so when it comes to the pieces, again, let me get organized. So again, the modifications, we didn't make any modifications to the bottom half. Let's put that aside for a minute. So when it comes to the top, we got the aftermarket pieces. And let me show you guys what it actually looked like at one time. These are the original parts. So we got the original parts on, and you can see the original bridge and the original sensor dome. And actually this would go on the back as well. Okay, so what we did, we removed the sections of the impulse decks and B and C decks. Okay, that's done. Then we fitted on, we got this section in clear resin, and that's going to go in this section like that. And we have also the clear, actually we got another bridge. Let me show you guys that. As well as we got the clear pieces for the windows around the deck, but we're going to do something different with that. I'll tell you that in a moment. So let me show you guys the difference in the sizes of the more screen accurate sensor dome as opposed to the one that came with the model. And you see there's a really big difference. When it comes to the bridge, it's not as quite as dramatic as the sensor dome, but you can still see there's a bit of a difference. So let me show you guys the differences in the B and C decks. And I know it's going to be a little harder to tell because it's clear, but see how we got the windows to the officers lounge, and we have some of the windows going around, and we have these pieces or these shapes that are on top, whereas the model kit didn't come with that. We did have the windows, and I was wondering if I could actually use this as a reference for the light blocking, but probably not. So the way this is going to go is we've got the bridge, and you can see there are a couple of slots that it fits into, and this is basically how it's going to go on. Like that. I mean, we got to clean it up a little bit. I'm just doing this to show you guys what it's going to look like. This is going to go on top of the primary hull, and this is going to go on right at the impulse section. So that's what we're going to have for the finished product, and we're going to glue everything into place, and we're going to putty it, we're going to make sure it's light blocked, and we're going to get it ready. And again, you can see that that's going to be in clear blue. All right, when it comes to the bottom of the primary hull, we're going to be putting in all the sections, and those are parts. You can see they're part 6. That's going to go all the way around, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of them. And those are these sections right here. You can see the windows are already cleared out. Now, we did get some more that were included in the kit for the aftermarket accessories. And they actually gave us the option of having the sections already. See how they have the lights, the windows? Let me get one out and show you what I mean. So they have these, and that's going to actually, they want you to replace these with them. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the original parts that came with the kit. Once it's on the inside, I'm actually going to use these to put behind it to help diffuse the light, and I think it'll be a better effect. But I want to use as many parts of the original kit as possible. So we're going to start with that, but before we start gluing, I just wanted to show you guys the differences between all the pieces. Again, the sensor dome looks pretty different in size. We have to trim off a couple pieces, and we're going to be lighting it to look like she did on screen. And one of the little goodies that came with the aftermarket is we have the officer's quarters, and that is going to go, when I just had B and C deck, this is going to go in like this, just like that, and we'll be able to look in and actually see the quarters. Now what I'm going to do is, because it has kind of a tannish color, which is kind of the base coat, the first thing I'll do is put a base coat on everything, and then we'll do the little extras. I know some people did an amazing job with this. They actually have little trees or little bushes or the plants that are in there. So that's going to be pretty fun. I think what I'm going to do when it comes to the officer's lounge, I think I'm going to do this on its own. I'll do a video just for this. So the walls have kind of like a tan hue to them, and the floors are kind of gray. And what I want to do is I want to put some pictures up on these squares. I want to do the United Federation of Planets logo on that side, and I'm actually going to do a little painting of the Enterprise on this one. And you can see there are steps in front of that, and there are couches. Now the couches are red, and the cushions on the couches are white, and they have little plants. So I think what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a video all on its own. So I'm going to put this aside for now. And we're going to just worry about the structure itself of the ship. But I wanted to show you the difference in all the sizes, so you can see the sensor dome in the model kit version and in the re-release. Now they said that they had used a more scale accurate measurement for the model kit from the filming model. So you can see there's a really big difference in that. When it comes to the bridge, there's not a total difference, but there are little things that are noticeable that you can see on the resin part that are not on this part, such as the little raised panels and the little ports that are on either side. So we're not going to need anything from this, and we're not using this piece either, because the clear part for the impulse decks are going to replace that. Okay, and when it comes to this now, these are B and C decks, and this is what came off the model. So you can see there are a lot of raised areas, and what'll come in handy as well is, I don't know if you can see the pattern that's on there, and that'll make it a lot easier to paint. And I think we actually have decals that came with the setting for that. So when it comes to this part, guys, this is going to go on the surface of the top of the primary hull. And what we have to remember is, yes, we need to mask off the officer's lounge, and we need to mask off the windows. But because we're going to be light blocking the inside, and we're going to use the reflective chrome paint, we're going to have to mask off the inside parts as well. So we'll do that when we do the painting. So let's put that aside for now, and I want to show you guys also the impulse crystal that goes into the deck. Okay, let's think about actually starting to glue the pieces now. I just wanted to make sure I gave you guys a view of everything, and this is all for the secondary hull, although I think we do have some phaser arrays again that we'll get to later when we paint. But when it comes to just doing the primary hull, you can see the instructions. So the sensor dome, we're going to be using the aftermarket one. The same thing with the impulse engines. We've got the clear impulse decks with the crystal that goes all the way back to the engines. We have the pieces for the windows, and we do have the clear resin parts. But I think what I'm going to do, let me get the pieces for you. These are the actual pieces. Now what I'm going to do, because they're really nice and clean, they're really nice, we're going to put these in. We're going to putty it, we're going to smooth it, we're going to make sure that they're nice and smooth and no light leaks. And I'm going to take the resin and we're going to put that on the back. That way there, when the light hits it, it'll diffuse it very nicely. So let's go ahead and we're going to start to take all the pieces off the tree, and we're going to do the bottom part first. So I like using my little snippers. So let's smooth the pieces out now. That looks good. Okay, and what I like to use is I like to use the Instacure from Model Expo, and they're all the same, so it doesn't matter what order they go in. So you can see that we're gonna need to sand down any of these sections. See, it looks like a little bit right there, a little bit. I don't want to sand down where I take off the ring. Yeah, that's better. So we're going to take one and we're going to fit it in. There's like an angle that it goes to, and the little tabs, well, that's the plan anyway, is to get them like that. Again, just a drop. And maybe a little bit on the piece. And we're going to start on the port side. See, this is really tough to get it to fit perfectly. And we're going to end up needing to use the putty. And I don't want to push it where it pushes out, but I'm trying to, see how I'm trying to line it up to the bottom? Because that's not going to be an easy place to putty. See, there's still that little gap that we're going to have to fix. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run a little bit of glue along the seam on the bottom. And what I like about too is this is the gap filling glue. So I'm going to put a drop, and I like gravity to help out. And I think it might be time to open up a new bottle. See how I like to let it just run? And what that's going to do is it's going to fill in a little bit. That way there when we, because remember we're gonna light block this with, I like to use the Rust-Oleum, the Ultra Cover. So this is going to light block. Once that's dry, can't seem to find, here it is. Once that's dry, I like to use the Rust-Oleum, the metallic finish, and that's going to help reflect the light all over the place on the inside. But that's not what we're going to use for the outside. Let me show you guys. When it comes to the finish coat, actually my friend Artie told me about Tamiya, and this is the first time I ever try using the Tamiya. And if the paint looks anything like the cap, it's going to be gorgeous. It has like that mother of pearl kind of finish to it. So Artie, thank you for turning me on to this. This is TS45 and this is pearl white, so this is going to be really fun. So I'm not going to use this on the inside. It's going to be the Rust-Oleum, but I'm going to use this for the outside. Anyway, that's in the future. So let's get back, and we're going to let this dry really well. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go around and we're going to do all the windows. And we got one more, and that's going to go right there. There. Now, these, they really don't fit that well. They do go in, obviously, because they're meant for the kit, but you see these gaps that are along the edges. We're going to have to take care of that, because that just can't, that's so noticeable. Now we do have the sensor rings or the bands that are going to go around on the decals, but it's important to keep, see these raised rings? It's not really, there it is. I mean, we've got to make very sure that we don't sand that off. So that's why I like the perfect plastic putty, because we're going to fill in the seams and then we can just wipe it off. We don't have to sand, because I don't want to ruin the raised lines. So we started off on the port side, and again with the Instacure glue, it's the gap filler, so it'll help a little bit on the bottom. Alright, so those are all in. So now let's think about working on the sensor dome. And again, the sensor dome model kit part is number 5, and we're going to be using the aftermarket one. So let's get that out. Because we need to prepare this. You can see there's extra plastic. And, oh, that was easy. So you can just kind of pull the tab off. So you can see there's some areas that we need to trim a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, so when it comes to where the lights are going to come from, what we're going to do is we're going to be using the small SMDs. So these already have resistors on them, and let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so you see how the LED is nice and small, and I'm sorry it's blinking, but what we're going to do is we're going to put these we're going to cut these areas out, see in between? And that way there we're going to run the light that's going to come through, and it's actually going to illuminate the bottom. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. We're gonna gently snip. We're not gonna cut the whole section out. We're just gonna cut out this area. And I might need let's try using the knife. There. See how that's nice and clean all the way around? And when it comes to this section, so let me show you guys what I'm talking about. See? So there is going to be a light there, but it's not going to be out, really blasting out light. The one that we're going to use, the brightest, is going to be in the front, and to show you guys, that's going to be illuminating the front part where the registry numbers are. So this is going to go, you can see there are 2 guide pins on the resin. So if it's easy, then we don't have to worry about it. We'll glue it right away. So the light is going to go in like that. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Alright, we're going to glue it into place. And on the edges. So I'm going to go along the edge, and I'm going to put just a little bit. It really does fit pretty nicely. And again, the glue that I'm using is it's the gap filler Instacure. So, because the last thing we're going to want is gaps that are going to come out. Because remember, guys, there's going to be a lot of light. Those little SMDs are pretty bright when they're plugged in. So they're going to be coming out the side over here, and we're going to angle it so that it's going to be facing all directions, just like she does on screen. So that looks pretty good. Now we're going to have to wait for this to dry before we think about doing the putty. So while that's drying, let me put this aside. We're going to think about doing the top section now. So when it comes to the model kit instructions, for the top, you can see how the bridge is going to go on, and it has part 4 as well. It's going to go on the bridge section. That's right, because there's no back on it. When it comes to the resin part, you can see there is the section is on. Now we got the little docking ports that are going to go on there. So what we need to do is when and I don't know if you guys heard that. See, there's guide sections or guide pins that guide it into place to make sure you put it in the right spot. So when it comes to that, we would sand this part off. This is after it's painted, or snip it, and we're going to drill straight down, and we're going to run fiber optic, because I think this is going to be part of the strobe, the same strobe that's lighting up the nacelles. Let me show you guys. So when it comes to the nacelle, the one that we had put way in the back is actually going to be strobing, and we have the circuit board for all the strobes. So there's going to be a strobe on either the back ends of either nacelle. We're going to have a strobe on the underbelly of the ship. There's going to be a strobe on top of the bridge. This is going to be drilled. We're going to run a wire down, and it's going to be part of the strobe. So we're going to have, when we drill, we're going to have to go through this section and this section, but we'll be able to run the wire. Okay, and that's going to go just like that. So before we get to that, though, I want to make sure that this section fits, because when we had left off, you can see that's how it's going to go. But it looks like we need to take off just a little bit in that area. So that's how it's going to go, and we're going to have to putty that in. Yeah, that looks a little better. So we're going to fill in the bottom, but I think this is good. And what I want to do is I want to put just enough glue to be able to keep it in place. Just enough. We're going to make sure it's level. So See, that looks pretty good. Yeah. And we're gonna have to fill in, we'll put the filler in. But, okay, what I gotta do now is I'm gonna just let all this dry really, really well before moving on. Because I don't want that to get warped. So, we're gonna leave it just like that. Okay, so this had plenty of time to dry, so what I want to do now is we're going to take off the clamps. All right. So let's take this off. So you can see we have the impulse decks are in position. And when it comes to this, we're probably going to have to put a little bit, build out just a little bit on the bottom. But you can see this is all dry now. And we get the windows, we have the sensor dome in. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to start thinking about putting on the bridge and B and C decks. I was wondering how to go about doing this. So initially, I was thinking that we would mask both sides, put it on, and the top is only going to be the Tamiya, but the bottom is going to be the black, the light blocking, as well as the Rust-Oleum chrome. And then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, well, gee, why go through all that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off this side. See, we got the windows. We'll mask off the windows, and when that's all set, we'll put the black light block on this side. So that way there, we only have to do it once. Because you remember, we still have the officer's lounge. But again, that's going to be a different video. I'm going to do all that in one kind of video. So when it comes to this, I think, let's check the fit for the last time. And then once it's in, we can put one. We'll put some glue on the inside to kind of solidify it. So that looks pretty good. So wow, it came out pretty good. I was expecting more of a gap, but what we're going to do is I'll go along with the putty and we're going to close the gap off. See, there's a little bit more of a gap on this side, especially the back too. Not much, nothing we can't fix, but and there's a little bit of a gap over there as well. So we're going to do the top when it comes to the black light blacking paint, and we're going to keep the bottom clear. That way there, when we remove the masks, everything will look, it'll travel through. Because don't forget, we still have to light the impulse engines as well. And I'm going to put just a bit on the flat parts that are going to go up on the top of B and C decks. So I'm going to make sure that that's a pretty good shot of it right there. So when it comes to the bridge, there's little areas where the light kind of peeks out. And I don't think that's going to be enough to light the registry markings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an SMD over here, and we're going to light the front. I'm still going to put a light in there because this area is lit up, and you can tell on screen that there is light emitting from that. So we're going to put an SMD in here just to light up the bottom pieces. We're going to run some fiber optic in the back because we're going to light up the landing bay doors. This is going to be ground down a bit so we can drill, and we're going to put a light over there, and that's going to be part of the LED system, the flashing. So that should be good. I don't want to put much glue around the base on the bridge area because I don't want it to gob up. What I think I can do is we're going to run some glue on the inside now, just to make it solid. And we'll have to put some putty in over there, but that won't be a big deal. That'll be pretty easy. Okay, so this looks pretty good. So when it comes to the top and the bottom of the primary hull, you can see the bridge with the back with the landing bay is. We have that. B and C decks were attached, but we have that on now. Let's see, is there anything else we need to do for the primary hull before we putty? We have the windows in all the way around. We have the sensor dome on. And when it comes to the parts to put together and the aftermarket parts, that's pretty good. We're looking good right now. So let me show you guys. I'm going to put it back onto the bottom half. It's going to go just like that. And we'll have to put maybe a little bit of the putty on for the bottom of the impulse engines, but that's okay. We'll do that. So now we basically just have to let it dry. And in the next video, what I'm going to do is we're going to start to putty it up. We're going to smooth it out, and we're going to get ready to paint. So my friends, I thank you for watching, and until the next video, I'll talk to you soon.